Hi, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Shout out to everybody in the chat, y'all. My camera was giving me a hard time this morning, and I don't know why. We are about to fight. I almost fought, but we figured. Okay, sorry. I hate Siri too. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Shout out to everybody. Siri's making me mad. The camera's making me mad. Everybody's making me mad. We live now. Good morning. I hope you guys are having a great Sunday. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Shout out to everybody. Good morning. I see everybody coming through. Guys, we got some very much tough topics to discuss for the most part. Good morning, everybody. Thank you guys for waiting. Sorry, I don't think I'm late. Maybe by like 2 minutes, but that's about it. I have a question for people because I don't want to forget. For those that follow me on the David content, I'm trying to do I'm trying to look into Neo. All right. So if you are a follow me in the in the David, shout out to Aduko. If y'all are following me in the David content and you know who I'm talking about, hit me up on my email. Send me whatever links you guys might have because I am looking into that. Um I'm laughing because the Discord's funny. Hit me up, y'all. Hit me up. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now, shout out to everybody. Thank you. I'm only You're only here. Okay, so in Europe. Okay. Can you look into is it Asia Collins? I keep hearing that name too, Flojo. I need you guys to hit me up on that because I'm like, I don't people are saying that there is this individual who they believe might have driven the car, the Tesla, with Celeste's body in there. And I believe the person's name is Neo. Now we did the same, we did a short little video on Gus. So not Neo the singer, not Neo, this other individual that was hanging out with David around that time frame. So if you guys are watching the replay, hit me up please and hit me up in the email. Let me know. I'm looking into it. I know that there's like a social media influencer. I can't tell you that I know everything because I'm just now starting to look into it. But hit me up. This is my email, y'all. This is my email. Okay. Thank you guys. Thank you. Thank you. And like I said, I'm collecting information. Thank you, thank you. Okay, let's get started, guys, because we definitely have somewhat of an agenda here. So we're gonna talk about Jake Haro and a couple things that I found, and I had tagged Brian Entin into because if you guys remember in the Emmanuel Haro case, there was like a lot of breaking news in between, and then the arrest happened, and we were trying to figure out what's going on, right? Do you guys remember? Maybe you guys watched this video or you didn't, but there was a video that Brian Entin did with like a former DA, and they were talking about how there was this operation in the prison that Jake had talked to an inmate. Like there was a what's the word? There was an operation that was set up for Jake to basically talk to an inmate and confess or at least give some information about Emmanuel Haro. Okay. So Brian Entin did a video, I want to say a couple months ago, right? And the people kind of did a lot of pushback on him because they were like, "Oh, this isn't true, misinformation, yada yada yada." Because Brian Entin came home with like some exclusive information, right? Which, like I said, I've been following Brian Entin for a couple years, and I don't know him to just make up the news, right? Like, what kind of a situation? Yes, a Perkins, right? So yesterday I was being nosy, because that's what I do. Excuse me, and respectfully being nosy, right? I was on my Facebook. Excuse me, I gotta clear my throat. And I was on Jared Hoddle's page, and Jared had posted this on his page. Now let me see if I can pull up the original post. Go back. This is Jared Hoddle, right? And on the 17th of October, he says, "New. I reached out to the Riverside County DA's office this morning and confirmed that a sealed Perkins operation was part of baby Emmanuel's investigation, a covert jailhouse recording that remains under court ordered." Everything in that case right now is sealed. I have done a FOIA request. None of us can get documents at this point, right? Like we can't go in there and get documents. But this is what Jared Haro dropped yesterday or 2 days ago. Brian Entin had exposed this, I want to say a month ago, what baby Emmanuel's father told fake inmate in jail and what he allegedly did with the body. Okay? So when Brian brought this up, he got a lot of pushback. We're like, "No, well, I don't believe it. I don't believe it." I'm like, "Well, it was. Brian was telling the truth." So me being, sassy or whatever, I screenshotted I screenshotted that comment about Brian being correct and screenshotted the article that Jared Huddle, the shared article, right? And tagged Brian Entin. And he was absolutely correct. The man did not lie. He did not give misinformation about anything. But there was a lot of pushback, right? So I was like, oh my God. I mean, why would he lie? I don't know. But he did not lie. This is that video.
The Gilman Springs area that we saw him with the police the other day, and he buried the body because he wanted to have the opportunity to go back and mourn his son's death and visit him. That was his story. That's why he was out there in his chains and his shackles, allegedly trying to lead the police to the body that was never there.
Okay.
So this was part of the information of the Perkins operation. And Brian Entin wrote, according to sources, the father of missing 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro told a fake inmate in jail where he is being housed that he killed the baby and put the baby inside of a trash can. YouTube, this is educational content. We're covering a true crime story, a true crime case. Please don't flag us. Sources say Haro told the fake inmate that this is part of a Perkins operation when an undercover informant poses as an inmate to get information out of someone in custody. The baby's father, Jake Haro, and the baby's mother, Rebecca Haro, were both charged with murder. Okay? So this was a month ago. Let's see what else he says about the Perkins. Because I want to go right to the timestamp. Look at this. This is right when he talks about it.
What I'm told is called a Perkins operation. A Perkins operation, which is when police use a fake inmate to try to get information out of someone who has been arrested and who is inside the jail. This Perkins operation came after, I'm told, Jake Haro confessed to police that he rolled over in bed and killed the baby by accident and then buried the baby. So that is...
I highly doubt that any of that confession is correct. But I believe that he killed the baby. I just don't think that he rolled over the baby, especially given that it was said that it was prolonged child abuse, right? That it was a prolonged situation.
What Jake Haro told police, which is why he took police to that spot out along the freeway. This video that we have that shows him out there searching.
Why this spot? Okay, so Brian told the truth. His sources were correct. And I mean, law enforcement doesn't have to confirm anything with us, right? The DA's office doesn't have to say anything to us. Everything is under seal. Very likely that whole Perkins thing is under seal as well. Very likely.
That story, I'm told police believe, was all made up. First, they got that story. Then they decided to do the Perkins operation, I'm told, which is when they used the fake inmate and when they say they got the information that Jake Haro actually killed baby Emmanuel and put baby Emmanuel into a trash can. Meanwhile, baby Emmanuel's mother, I'm told, is still sticking to the same story. They also did a Perkins operation with her in jail. And
they did one on her. Interesting.
She is standing by her story that baby Emmanuel was kidnapped. That is also, you'll remember, what she told a reporter who she talked to in jail. So many tragic.
So this is why I mean, like I said, they don't have to confirm anything to us, but Brian Entin was correct. So of course, me being, you know how I am, y'all, I got to go and be like, see, he was correct. I had to tag him and I said, look, Jared Huddle did talk to the DA's office and the DA's office confirmed with him that there was this Perkins operation, that it's all under seal. So this right here, my friends, not misinformation. And he stood by his sources. Brian Entin, like I said, he's not known to lie or anything like that. That is never that. I remember, and this is why I've always respected Brian Entin, because when the whole Gannon Stout situation happened, I've said this before, he was one of the few reporters that, you know, called out that YouTuber that put Gannon Stout's autopsy pictures and stuff like that on Patreon, because she couldn't put it on YouTube. So it grew an outrage on everybody. The thing about this situation, I think we can all basically learn, right, is that as social media, you know, I'm a YouTuber, right? I look into things, I can research things. I have a master's in social work, a master's in social work and undergraduate in criminology. But one thing I realize is that everybody on social media brings something different to the table as far as their level of expertise and experience. I worked in government for 10 years, right? So for me, it's like, as a lot of us are growing on social media, we have to learn how to work together and, kind of like, if a journalist like Brian Entin gets something like, well, let's look into that instead of shutting it down and saying it's misinformation. Like, we just don't know. We don't. And the reality is that law enforcement doesn't have to tell us anything. They never do. You saw how much pushback we got with Emmanuel Haro, how much pushback Ahmed Belloso got, a lot of people. And it's interesting because it's like we might be reporting accurate things at times, or maybe we might have a source. He might have a source, whatever it may be. But the investigation takes, primary purpose, right? Like, that's more important. However, I think it's also important to, if something was correct, to just say, hey, that was correct. It's correct information. And there was no misinformation as it pertained to that piece.
Tragic twists and turns in this case. My big concern right now is that if this story is true, that police allegedly found out about through this Perkins operation, that he killed baby Emmanuel and put him into a trash can, and that it may have been up to 3 weeks ago. 3 weeks ago. Will they ever actually find baby Emmanuel?
And that is the question. Law enforcement told us on that press conference, what did they say? They know, they don't need people's help. They know where it's at, and they have yet to find baby Emmanuel. I mean, you had Steve Fisher out there with drones. You had people out there really putting in, their time to go and find out what happened. And they kind of pushed away. To me, that tells me that they don't know where this baby's at. They don't. That's the reality of it. Dr. Edward, thank you so much, my love. So much for the $9.99. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. Thank you for supporting the channel. The government had to lie. Public statements about defendant's character or alleged confessions are strictly prohibited. Absolutely. Absolutely. I just think it was important to also put that out there, that this journalist did not lie about that. That he was accurate. His source was accurate. But also, it's not like he came up with the source. You see him sitting here with the former DA.
I'm joined now by Kim Dagonia, a former Riverside County prosecutor. Thank you for joining me again, Kim. I want to start with this new reporting that we have.
Yep.
That Jake confessed to police that he rolled over the baby, killed the baby, and then buried the baby. But apparently that story was not true, right?
Yes, that is correct. My inside sources are telling me that was absolutely a lie. He made that all up to the police in order to, I guess, garner some type of sympathy, garner some type of a linear charge or sentence, but he made up this entire fabricated story that he was asleep with the baby Emmanuel, that he rolled over onto baby Emmanuel.
No.
When he woke up, he realized the baby was dead and he panicked. And so he went out to the Gilman Springs area that we saw him with the police the other day, and he buried the body because he wanted to have the opportunity to go back and mourn his son's death and visit him. That was his story. That's why he was out there in his...
Such detailed information about this Perkins. Rebecca didn't fall for it, right? They did it on Rebecca too, and she didn't fall for it. So here's the question that I have for the chat. If at the press conference they said they knew where this body was at, this baby's body, then why do a Perkins operation if they knew where this baby was at? Or was it just to get him to confess? Or was it just to get him to tell him where the body was at? Why do all this if they knew or had an idea where this baby was at? I don't think that the DA's office knows or knew.
Chains and in shackles, allegedly trying to lead the police to the body that was never there.
Okay.
It was just part of
And
the story.
the reason that we know that this is allegedly made up is because of this reporting that we have that he spoke to someone who he thought was an inmate in the jail, but it was actually what is known as, is it a Perkins operation? So it's actually a police officer who he admitted to actually killing the baby. First of all, can you explain what a Perkins operation is?
Sure. We don't know if the person who was undercover was a police officer, if it's another, run-of-the-mill citizen of the community that was acting as an undercover inmate. We just know there was another body in the jail cell pretending to be an inmate.
Look at that.
In the same inmate clothes as Jake Haro, shackled in the same manner in which Jake Haro is. And
he was an officer the whole time. And this is interesting information.
And to ask questions while being recorded to Jake specifically about the charges and why he's in there, in hopes that he will admit whatever really happened to baby Emmanuel to these fake inmates in custody. And it's called a Perkins operation. These types of investigative tools have been going on for decades in agencies and district attorneys' offices across California. It's a very standard and typical investigative tool that you see the sheriff's department use in many different cities and counties across California.
Is it controversial at all doing that?
Yeah, it's been very controversial. I think Orange County District Attorney's Office was at the center of a lot of the controversy a few years ago. From that came a much tighter rein on how these are conducted. The Riverside District Attorney's Office, from my understanding and my experience, has gone to great lengths along with the Sheriff's Department to make sure that they are following and articulating the legal analysis and following the law as they conduct these operations. It's very specific.
I do wonder if was it through the Perkins operation that led, clearly it led him to the body, at least to search in that area, or what exactly, because people were saying, well, they were pinging this phone and this is where it was last at or whatever. I don't know. I'm going to try to skip around here a little bit and get us a little bit further.
I don't know. I was not there to watch the Perkins operation or to watch any of her interviews, but my best guess would be there's probably something mentally off with Rebecca Haro. I wouldn't be surprised if in the future months we see some type of mental health diversion paper.
We were talking about this too last time, right? She is sticking to her story, and we were thinking, well, maybe it's DV. Could very well be the case. What was her participation in the role of this situation? I still feel like, in my opinion, she's very much accountable to the things that she did or didn't do in the level of protecting this baby and whatnot.
Work being filed on her, domestic violence assertions that Jake inflicted upon her. I don't think we're done with hearing the backstory behind Rebecca. I don't. Yeah. I think there's more to come.
Do you think she's trying to cover for him?
I'm not sure at this point if it's trying to cover for him or if it's a cycle of abuse where she's afraid. I don't know if there's maybe some cognitive lower intelligence that she's, just repeating what she's been told. But
could be. We don't know what her, status is. We don't, like I said, these are things that maybe they're going to find out, but I do wonder if that's going to be a level of defense for her. Now that we know that Jake has confessed or at least pled at this point to a judge, right? And to me, Jake is very manipulative. He's done this before. He did it on the first case. He pled to a judge. He's very manipulative, right? He knows how to play the system. He knows you could just see it. And his track record kind of shows that. Helen Bates says, why don't we have a body? That is the question that we all want to know. Why don't we have a body? What is going on? Because the DA's office said they had an idea. Now, was this before the Perkins or after the Perkins or what? I mean, the press conference was first and then it was the Perkins, my understanding, if I remember timeline correctly. So I have to kind of wonder what's the deal. Unfortunately, the Emmanuel was put in the garage. I'm not sure if they'll ever in the garbage. I'm sorry. Why did I read garage? Garbage. That's what you meant. In the garbage. I'm not sure they'll ever find him. 3 weeks? 3 weeks since if anything of this confession is correct, I don't think he just rolled over the baby and the baby died. No way. No way. This is a 7-month-old baby. You're not talking about like a little newborn, a preemie or anything like that. I mean, sure, you should be careful, but a 7-month-old, it's a little bit different, if you're rolling over versus like a little infant baby. It's a little bit different. Just like the couple in Texas, not that abusing their child, covering it up. Yeah, their own kids expose them. That's right. I mean, this is crazy work. You said the Ola bandit. She's the Ola bandit. Lord have mercy. This is interesting. Just the finding of this information and knowing that this was accurate.
But like I said, again, I don't think we're done hearing the backstory to Rebecca. I think there's more there.
Yeah.
With these Perkins operations, since you have been a part of many before in your past, do they record them or how do they work? Like, how do they go down? How do they find the people? I'm sort of fascinated by it. I'd never heard of it before. How do they find the people to do this? Do they record them? Like, kind of walk me through the whole process.
Okay. And when you say I've been part of them, I don't actually go to the jail and watch them. There's a DA designated for that. That's his sole job.
Oh.
And it's in order, again, to protect the privacy and to make sure that the standard legal procedures are being followed. So there is one deputy district attorney designated to that unit, which is a great thing that the Riverside DA's office has done to preserve the integrity of this type of investigation. So what happens is that particular assigned DA goes to the jail, watches the entire interaction go on between the inmates, the fake inmates, the actual defendant, and the actual detectives.
So all of this is filmed? Do they go to like a special cell? That's interesting.
It's being recorded the entire time. There's cameras in the jail cell. There's cameras on the what we're calling fake inmates. And it's all above board. Everybody can listen to it later on, watch it, see it. There's nothing hidden once it's done. It's turned over to defense, and it's routinely used as evidence in jury trials, the recordings from these operations.
It's kind of interesting that Jake Haro wasn't suspicious that maybe that was what was happening when he was talking to this other person.
That right. And I was thinking the same too. Whereas Rebecca kind of stuck to her story and that they did it on her too, and it didn't work. Taylor says, well, I have asked myself when Jake gave Rebecca that black eye and knocked her out if she dropped the baby. Could have been the situation, or maybe we don't even know, right? Like I said, I think this whole situation has been very much manipulated in a way to deflect. Even Jake's sister, who went, y'all remember when she did that video, and she was also running with the story about, I think she knew more than what she let on, and that's why she left social media, because she didn't want to have anything, like she didn't want that following her. I think she knows. I think she knows what happened. I think she does. I think because it happened already with the first child. You said she's talking about the video cameras around the holding cell. Oof. So you got video cameras. It's got to be a specific cell. You think she's complicit with him? That's my opinion only. Could be. I think at some point you become complicit when you decide to go with the kidnapping story. She didn't have to go with it. She could very well be a victim of DV, but she also didn't protect her children, right? Like you kind of have to weigh that in too. Let's see. I think he did it and she didn't know. And he told her baby was kidnapped and she believed him. I think he told her, you have to say this and take it with you in my past. They won't believe me. Says, you mean like set her up and basically made her, Panda Anna made her, do the whole thing and just, kind of go with it. I think it was knocking her head between the washer and the dryer and she was not protecting the kid. Well, there you go. I mean, she was not protective of her kids, like at all. Which then makes you wonder, well, is the 2-year-old okay? Because they have a 2-year-old together, right? Is it possible that Rebecca's lawyer told her to stick to her story and she's doing a good job? Maybe so. Rebecca's a first-time offender. She doesn't have any kind of record. She wasn't on probation. So there probably could be leniency with her if she cooperates. if she cooperates, right? Maybe she went with them out of fear for losing. We don't know that whole story, right? Could very well be the case. I still, in my opinion, feel like she knows more. I do believe she knows more. I think she's selectively not saying, because guess what? If you don't have a body, is there a crime? I mean, now we know that there's a crime, but like it makes it kind of harder without a body, right? You don't have a body. How do you know how this baby died? How do you know who did what if you don't have a body? All you have is their words, confessions, circumstantial evidence of the things that don't make sense, right? But you don't have a body. So there's that. I think the 2-year-old is with CPS. I'm pretty sure she's with CPS and not with family. You know? Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that this seems to happen all the time. The inmates really don't become suspicious. They just verbal vomit everything to these inmates. I don't know if it's, to garner some type of strategy in custody to be part of, the violent members so that they're not attacked. I don't know if it's a preservation.
Jake doesn't strike me as somebody who's very intelligent. I don't know. He just doesn't. He doesn't, like, even really, reading that affidavit of he's just not, he's very manipulative, but he's not very intelligent, I would say.
Reason why they disclose, but it's shocking to me the amount of times there's disclosures and admissions made to other inmates in this setting.
Especially when it comes to killing a baby.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah, because I mean, in the past when I've done stories, if you like hurt a child or you're a sex offender, I mean, it doesn't seem like the other inmates normally take to that.
No.
Right. It's shocking he would admit that because you would think that would not bode well for him in custody at all.
So let's talk about these charges that we now know about.
Okay, so I'm going to stop right here. Make sure you guys watch it if you did not. I mean, I think it's a very well done video. You said, well, he pled. Now he doesn't have to tell Ellie where the body is. That's right. He did plead. Now he doesn't have to say anything to the DA's office, which then only leaves Rebecca. Will Rebecca say anything? I truly hope she's not with him. They're in separate cells, right? And I'm not saying that they can't communicate with each other, but ideally, I don't think that that's what they're doing. Somebody's car alarm's going off. Okay. Hopefully you guys can't hear it. She could have expressed her fear of Jake if she were afraid of the police at any time. They had to at some point question them individually. They wouldn't have sent her back to him if she said so, right, Meatball? I agree. At some point, like I said, she had the opportunity to say something. She had the opportunity to stop this. But the thing is, and I completely agree, can you truly believe anything that comes out of her mouth? She literally lied to the public, guys. Don't forget, she got on film. Hola. Can you truly believe anything? Even if she's telling the truth now, the only thing that I want to hear out of her mouth is, where is this baby at? And maybe what happened to this baby, if she knows. But truly, you can't even believe one thing that comes out of her. I just don't know if I trust her. Even if, because she will cover. She had opportunity to say what happened to that report, like before. I'm sure law enforcement has visited her multiple times. I'm sure she's talked to her lawyers. I'm sure she has said something multiple times. But, she had the opportunity to say something, but she decided not to. So it's like, I can't, even though she is trying to save herself, I cannot believe the things that come out of her mouth because, Lord have mercy. It's just like, well, how do I know you're telling the truth? How? Do I trust you now or did I trust you before? And I think First Liberties podcast, I think you're absolutely right. Duress is a defense to a false report unless she linked to the death. She has to stand by her story to avoid prison. The lawyer will say everything from here on out. Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't make, I'm just saying, like, it wouldn't be smart for her to speak. But if she is going to make, because she has a hearing, I think on the 29th or the 28th. But I'm just like, if you can just say where this baby, I mean, she got to listen to her lawyer, but it'd be great to put this baby to rest, right? He was failed in life. He's failed in death. Unless we can find justice for this baby. Thank you. Was it November 3rd? I thought it was wasn't there another hearing on I got to check the calendar. I thought it was on the 28th or something like that. You said, yup, and the state is still pursuing charges on her, so they have to have something. Otherwise, they'd have been dropped with Jake's pleading. Or maybe they'll change charges. I don't think that they can't change charges. I think that's it. I mean, he's not going to trial. He's done. He just needs to be sentenced. And I think based on what I know is he has a probation, he's looking at what, 25 or 50 years, if I remember correctly, because he has a violation. And then they're looking to charge him for the other stuff before. So there's that. I need to check the calendar. I need to go. I truly hope that Rebecca speaks out. Yeah, I really do. But, she's going to save herself. Selfishly, that's what she's done. She had to save her man, and she got to save herself now, which is just so sad, But again, shout out to Brian Entin because he was right. He was right. He was right. And I'm glad that Jared Hoddle was the one. He's the one that put this out here. He said that he talked to the DA's office and they said they had a Perkins operation as part of the baby Emmanuel investigation, a covert jailhouse recording that remains under court orders. The DA says because Rebecca Haro's case is still active, prosecutors cannot comment further. So they can't say anything. They might say something afterwards, depending on how that hearing goes. They might. Oh, you're right. First Liberties podcast. The next hearing is November 3rd. That means new information, including what Jake Haro may have told investigators during the sealed Perkins operation or how Rebecca died. It is unlikely to become public until after November 3rd sentencing, or if the evidence is later unsealed, Rebecca Haro's case. So we're probably going to find out more about this Perkins later on. But I think that they have to get everything into their place. Yeah, she had the chance to talk when she left that thank you, Nap. Thank you for letting me know, because I completely forgot. She was around people. There was the football practice, that whole situation. She was by herself multiple times. She wasn't just with Jake. She had plenty of times to say something, plenty of time to speak out, and she decided not to. She made a choice with that, and I think it's important to note that. That's why I'm like, I don't know how much we can trust out of her own mouth. Okay. Here we go. As much as y'all know, I don't like talking about some of these kid cases, but we're going to talk about them. So we had to talk about them because there's more information coming about Jacqueline Torres, the little 12-year-old girl that her body was found in a bin at an abandoned house. There was an anonymous tipster who called in, and then law enforcement went in there and they found this, baby girl's body in there, and they believe that she had been gone for quite some time. At least my understanding, they said about a year. They believe the last time she was alive was sometime in the fall of 2024. Okay. So Jacqueline Torres Garcia remains were found in a container at an abandoned property. Court documents revealed. So I need to get I don't know if any of this is public yet, but I'm trying to get a hold of these court documents. Court documents reveal shocking abuse. Her mother, Carla Garcia, admitted she had stopped feeding the child in the weeks before her death. The girl reportedly ran away twice. So Mimi had ran away twice, only to be restrained with zip ties by family members and forced to stay on pee pads. Authorities say that the family went to great lengths to hide her death, including having another child pose as Jacqueline during virtual welfare checks. So I kind of want to speak a little bit on this, but let me finish reading this, okay? During an interview with the Farmington investigator, Carla Garcia said that she told her sister the baby died on September 19, 2024. The warrant said, while speaking with the New Britain police, Carla Garcia said Nanita, which is Jonathan Nanita here, the idiot looking mother effer on that picture. Sorry. Carla Garcia said Nanita had taken the child's body somewhere downstairs in the apartment. they had rented. But the odor of the decaying remains was so strong, they had to leave the Farmington residence and stay with friends in a hotel, the warrant said. Carla Garcia, her sister Jacqueline, and Carla's boyfriend Jonathan Nanita have been charged in connection with the death believed to have occurred in the fall of 2024. This heartbreaking case is important reminder of warning signs of abuse and the importance of protecting vulnerable children. No worries, Aduko. Yeah, biggest trigger warning, y'all. If you need to check out, completely understand. This is when COVID was happening, and I could speak to this because I was still working in CPS around this time. When COVID was happening, there was a lot of worries about how because when there's an open CPS case, whether it's an investigation or an actual open ongoing service investigation, there's this thing where you have to see that by state policy, you have to see the child, and most states have this. Last time I checked, when I did federal reviews on this, you have to see the child at least one time alone without the presence of the caregiver, provider, and stuff like that. You have to kind of assess their well-being, ask them questions. How are you doing? How's everything going? Are you safe? Those are the kind of the basic questions that you have in your assessment, right? When COVID happened, there was a situation where, there was a concern about, there wasn't a lot of PPE, all the scare that was happening, you guys remember? And there was so much in between, right? I remember this being a thing where there was concerns whether some kids would actually get eyes on. So the fact that we're now out of COVID, there should be no worries about it at this point, because a lot of government employees, myself included, we were made to take the vaccine. Even though we didn't want to, we were made to take the C-19. But a lot of government employees at the time, you had to do it, and you had to do your contacts, right? And your PPA and all that other stuff. But now here we are, 2025, where this vaccine is available, and COVID could be a thing and not at the same time, right? I don't understand how CPS now does virtual wellness checks. And very easily, this woman right here, and it's been said in other articles, that she deceived CPS by using another child to pretend to be Mimi Torres while doing a virtual check. And then somehow allowing that to pass for this assessment of that. So this is why Mimi fell through the cracks. This is why that happened. That is insane. But they did fail this child. And not just this child, the other children as well. I mean, clearly Mimi is the one that's gone, but it does make you wonder, what did the other children see? What did they know? How old are they? What did they witness? Did they know their sister was gone? Did they see their sister be abused? Like, this is ongoing trauma, right? This is why I tell y'all I can't even talk about these cases, because it's like I get mad at a lot of things, because it's like so many missed opportunities for people to have saved this child, right? Mom told I can never see the acronym, sorry. DCF. There's CPS, DCF, anyways, APS, there's a bunch of them. Mom told DCF that a girl in the video call was Mimi after police believed she was dead. And you know what they did? I'm sure CPS is looking at their records. They're pulling everything to figure out, well, on this day, this worker had this call, and it was virtual. And this is what it looked like, and yada, yada, yada. But you can't confirm on a virtual call if you're actually talking to the person that you're assessing, right? You can't do that on a virtual call. You can't. This child was failed by a lot of people. A new report from the State Department of Children and Family reveals that they had a video call with the girl they told was 12-year-old Jacqueline Mimi Torres Garcia, after police believed that she was already dead. Probably one of her siblings. who acted like Jacqueline. Jacqueline's body was discovered last week in a bin behind an abandoned property on Clark Street in New Britain. And police said that they think she actually died in the fall of 2024. Yeah, just about a year ago. Jacqueline's mother, Carla Garcia, and her boyfriend, Jonathan Anita, have been charged. And of course, the aunt as well has been charged with child cruelty. The aunt was charged with child cruelty and unlawful restraint, which kind of makes you wonder, did they find the body with zip ties? And the boyfriend and the mom was charged with the murder. The State Department of Children and Family have been investigating its involvement with the family and released a timeline of the investigation on Friday. Officials said Jacqueline was withdrawn from the New Britain School District last fall, on the day she was supposed to start the 6th grade in New Britain on August 2024. Carla Garcia notified the district that the family moved to Farmington and she intended to homeschool her daughter, according to officials. What follow-up happened after that? We're going to talk about homeschooling here in a minute with this other Melodee Buzzard case. The report that the DCF released on Friday says that Carla Garcia told them in January 2025 that Jacqueline was being homeschooled and staying temporarily out of state with a relative. And DCF had a video call with the person who the mother claimed to be Jacqueline. The mother, Carla, very manipulative. Right? Because, she did that in the interview, this alleged interview that happened with a Facebooker, where she was like blaming bio father, which, don't get me wrong, I still hold him accountable for not, stepping up in that custody battle, right? But this is how far they went to try. Here's the deal, though. If somebody's in CPS, if somebody moves out of state, there isn't a whole lot the CPS can do, right? Unless they have custody of that child. If I do an investigation and I'm interviewing kids and I'm like, all right, I immediately take custody. I put in a 72-hour hold, judge, call the judge, and the judge gives me permission. Okay, 72, we'll have a hearing, right? And we'll determine kind of where things go from there. That's what happens. But if I don't have custody of a child, a parent can take their child. They don't have to cooperate. There's only so much CPS can do in that situation. So the fact that mom said, yeah, we're moving out of state, or she's out of state, there isn't a whole lot you can do. Your assessment is, whether it's on the phone, she could have gone to the property. She could have done that. But as far as going out of state, you can't really do a whole lot after that. So maybe she said that to try to get CPS out of the way or make them not ask any more questions. That's it. I'm not surprised. How did the caseworker not know that she wasn't the right child? I'm so lost. I'm not surprised. I mean, if CPS files, okay, so I don't know, it depends on the state, right? But I know my state, you don't have to have, like, some photos. The system at the time didn't have photos for the kids, right? So it's literally just identifying information of the child, age, DOB, social security number, those kinds of things. But as far as a photo, not even in the case file. That's just how some systems are set up. Funding could be an issue as to why we can't store photos. It's been a conversation. I remember having these conversations with people, right? How come CPS doesn't have photos of every kid? It's just like a school, right? A school's going to have a photo of a kid. Even if it's like, if they don't buy the photos, the school will have a picture of this child. CPS, and at least from what I've experienced in the system, and it's a statewide system that they use, I'm pretty sure that's what they do in other states. They don't typically have photos of the kids. The other thing to this too is that there's an issue with privacy when it comes to that. But it's been a thing that's been said, especially with runaways or, child trafficking or human trafficking concerns. But that's one thing that they don't have in the system. Again, funding, advancing this system and stuff like that. It wouldn't surprise me that she didn't know what this child looked like, because some systems are not set up to have photos. I could have asked and I would, like, if I had an open case with a kid, I could call the school district. If I had custody of the kid, they would send me a photo, or like if I wanted something like that for my records, that's a possibility, especially when they're on the run. That's another thing. Like, you want to have as much detailed information, their whereabouts and stuff like that, because you're looking for them and you're looking, to see where they might be, and, hopefully they're okay, that type of situation. But they don't have a system with photos. It's a bigger question for sure. That's why she probably didn't know what this child looked like. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of how it's set up. The fact that they're doing this virtually is so whack to me. It's utter nonsense and complete evil, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, it's the workers checking a box. But I do wonder now reading this too, is it because Jacqueline, here it is, was being homeschooled and staying temporarily out of state with a relative. This is what Jacqueline told the staying out of state. There's only so much that the state can do to go look for a child. Carla was literally trying to, like, she was trying to avoid a CPS call or a CPS visit. When you tell a CPS worker you're out of state, there's only so much you can do in that. You don't have jurisdiction. You can't go out of state and look for a kid. Yeah, so there's no hearing or notification needed prior to moving a child out of state. Only, I guess it just depends on a case by case. If the state has custody of a child, it's a little bit different. You know, you do what you call an ICPC, which if there's relatives in another state, the court gets involved and then you transfer custody over there to that other state, you know, guardianship, whatever it may be. But when it comes to like, what people need to understand is that when somebody calls a hotline, don't assume that you're automatically going to get a case open. It doesn't work that way. If I call a hotline, a CPS call, don't expect that CPS is going to bust down a door to figure out what your what the concern is. They'll listen to the call, they'll do a review of the call, and they review every call that comes out, and they evaluate. They figure out the social history, the history of the family. They pull everything, okay, and they kind of go through it that way through what they call like a review team, right? They review all those calls. And from there on out, they determine whether it's going to get assigned for an investigation, an assessment, or if it's going to basically get screened out. That's what it's called, screened out. That's what they do. And so then some calls you may have the urgent call to say, this is what's going on with this child. Doesn't mean it's going to be assigned. So people could have called. They probably needed to determine the urgency of that, right? So don't just because you call doesn't mean that it's going to get assigned. It's great. People need to call if there's a concern of suspected anything or if there is, but it doesn't mean that it's going to get assigned. I think it's important to kind of put that out here. CPS is investigating. They can only do so much, especially if they weren't talking. Blaming them wouldn't solve a lot. And there's only so much CPS can do, right? Now, here's my question that I have. If this is my CPS hat. Prior to, like, what led the CPS work? What led that referral to the hotline? That would be my question about that would lead this investigator to go out. That she only felt that the only assessment she needed to do was face-to-face. The other thing that CPS can do, if you're not showing up, or if you're not showing me your kids, or if I'm not able to see your kids, even though I don't have custody, I could definitely order you in, which is I can demand that you produce your children, or the court is going to get involved. That's a possibility too. That could have been done. That wasn't done. So it does make you wonder, what is the level of urgency in this situation that they feel like they had or not? The pandemic did change everything. Absolutely. Absolutely. So DB cases skyrocketed, and sad thing is social workers do the reviews and interviews online when they used to go to the houses and see the children that was leaving. Yeah, I mean, things changed a lot. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to speed up the comments. I'm sorry. Chantel, thank you so much for this. They knew he was in a landfill, says Chantel. Thank you so much for this. Yeah, you're talking about Emmanuel Haro. Yeah, I have a feeling they know he's like in a landfill or some mountain or something. I know I need to stop. Let me stop, because it's a lot of information. It's a lot of explaining to do when it comes to CPS. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna say. James, thank you so much for gifting, and thank you, Nebby. Thank you. Sorry, I just want to catch up. Emily, thank you for becoming a member. Thank you, guys. Emily, thank you guys for gifting. Make sure you guys are putting hearts in the chat if you've been gifted. Really appreciate it. Thank you guys. Okay, let's keep going. So, the complete failure of the situation. Following the timeline, the department released the following statement. The department continues to assess our involvement with the family of Jacqueline Mimi Torres. While our review is ongoing, it's important to correct misinformation that is being publicly reported about our history with the family to ensure a thorough and accurate assessment of the system. This is critical when responding to any tragedy involving a child, to responsibly inform the potential need for public policy or other reforms. See, to that end, And for that purpose, we can offer the following timeline of information. All right, let's look at this timeline. So this is going to give us, and again, this is not the full timeline. I mean, CPS is not going to release. They're going to release what they want to release. You know who's going to get this information? The feds. Because the feds, they're the ones that are, they're the ones to determine what agency is going to get dinged, what's going to get audited, what's going to hurt funding. So this is why they want to fix this, right? Because they don't want to lose their federal funding, their block funding for this. So this is important. In 2013, the department received an initial report on the family in January of 2013. When Jacqueline was born, given that her mother, Miss Carla Garcia, resided in a detention center. So mama gave birth to Mimi while she was in jail. Is that what it sounds like? Jacqueline was placed in the care of paternal relatives, and legal guardianship was transferred to that relative shortly thereafter by the Superior Court of Juvenile Matters. DCF's case was closed in August of 2013, and Jacqueline remained under the legal guardianship of the relative for the next 9 years until May of 2022. This is pretty normal. I've seen this happen before where mom gives birth in jail. The department really tries that. There's been a lot of changes in CPS. They don't just go around taking custody of your kids, guys. They really try to, allocate that to family as much as they can. It sounds like this was what the case was, at least paternal. So dad's side of the family. In 2014 to 2016 and 2017 and 2021. Okay, look at this history. While Jacqueline was in the care of her legal guardian, DCF also provided services to the family with Jacqueline's younger siblings from April of 2014 through June 2016. And then again, briefly in 2017 and 2021, following reports related to Jacqueline's younger siblings. So Jacqueline was in the care of that legal guardian that was taking care of her, but they had an open case and it wasn't on Jacqueline. It was pertaining to the siblings. Her younger sibling was also placed in the care of relatives in February of 2016. During that period, the relative guardian allowed the parent to have regular access to the children. So Carla right here, I don't know what the hell was going on with Carla. We don't. Was she getting her shit together? What happened here? Because she wasn't taking care of her kids here, okay? From 2022 to 2024, now we have an interesting gap, okay? Carla and Victor Torres, that's the dad who petitioned the court. Jacqueline's father sought reinstatement of guardianship of both Jacqueline and her younger siblings in the Superior Court for Juvenile Matters. The court reinstated guardianship of both parents in May of 2022 with support of DCF. Okay, there is where the DCF involvement is at. The prior relative guardian and child attorney, okay? The department recommendation was made after conducting a review of the family history and current circumstances, an interview with Jacqueline and her siblings, and an assessment of the parents' current ability to care for them at the time. DCF last interacted with Jacqueline during a subsequent investigation in September of 2022 concerning her younger siblings. So they were doing investigation on the younger siblings. Okay. She and her siblings were determined to be safe at the time and were visible to the community. The school-aged children were enrolled in school, and children's medical provider was contacted and did not express concerns. The department provided in-home support. This is like in-home services, and the family was involved with supportive housing. There was insufficient evidence to substantiate child abuse and neglect or seek removal of the children from the home in accordance with the state law. And case closed in November of 2022. So what happened? What happened? That's the question. DCF had no further involvement with the family prior to Jacqueline's death, now believed to be 2 years later in the fall of 2022. However, the children were enrolled in school. Jacqueline attended medical appointments in November of 2022, November of 2023, and May of 2024. What happened to her in May? A doctor saw her in May. Okay. Was she okay in May? During that two-year period, the department did not receive any reports of child abuse or neglect regarding the family. Jacqueline was not homeschooled during any period of DCF involvement. Carla Garcia also filed for and was granted sole custody of Jacqueline and her sister by the family court in June of 2024. And DCF had no further involvement in that proceeding. Okay. 2025, DCF said its last involvement with the family commenced in January of 2025, following allegations concerning Jacqueline's siblings. It's about the siblings. While it's now reported that Jacqueline died months earlier, Carla Garcia stated at the time of our investigation that Jacqueline was being homeschooled and staying temporarily out of state with relatives. I bet you she had already died by then, or she was abusing her, or there was something going on. Okay. Now, you know what's not being mentioned? Maybe it will be at some point, but one of the things that's not being mentioned here is Jonathan Nanito would be another person that when they're doing an investigation, if he's the boyfriend living there, they would be also adding him and investigating him in this situation. So where is Jonathan Nanito in this assessment? Because clearly she was with mom at that time. Not being mentioned. While it's now reported that Jacqueline died a month earlier, Carla Garcia at the time of our investigation that Jacqueline was being homeschooled and staying temporarily out of state with relatives. In response, DCF conducted a video call with person who the mother claimed to be Jacqueline. This information had been provided to law enforcement. Given that no additional concerns were noted, the department closed the case in March of 2025. This remains an active and involving criminal investigation, and we will continue to be as transparent as possible following the completion of our review, DCF said in the report. Okay? So the Office of Child Advocate investigating. So this is kind of like the ombudsman, like a separate office. The Connecticut Office of Child Advocate said that they're also investigating to understand what happened to Jacqueline. We are heartbroken at the news of this tragedy. Our hearts go out to everyone in the community who had been impacted in accordance with our statutory obligations and authority. We're currently gathering information and we'll conduct a comprehensive investigation to understand what occurred. In response to questions at homeschooling DCF involvement with family, OCA cannot comment on the fact that this case at this time, as we are still gathering information, is too early to draw conclusions. We can confirm that both issues will be part of the OCA's investigation. On the issues of homeschooling, we know from previous investigations that the parents used Connecticut's complete lack of oversight of homeschool. Complete lack of oversight. Man, I'm telling you, look, shout out to people that know how to homeschool. I cannot, but there is a complete lack of oversight, and there should be more oversight. Connecticut's complete lack of oversight of homeschooled children to withdraw their children from school, isolate them, shield them from reports to our child welfare agencies, and neglect or abuse their children. This is a known policy issue that the state must address. That's what the statement says. I agree. I concur. I definitely agree. It's everywhere. You said it's Indiana. It's everywhere, man. It's everywhere. I mean, it's even in this case that we're about to talk on the Melodee Buzzard case. Now, hold up. Before I transition, let me do some shout outs. Oh my God. Hibiscus Rose. Thank you so much, my love. You working hard, Mama. We appreciate you, Rabbit. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Thank you guys. Dee Dee with the she's Halloween ready. Shout out to Dee Dee. I like your picture. Thank you, Dee Dee, for the 5 memberships. Dee Dee is Halloween ready, right, Dee Dee? I could tell. I can only imagine the ongoing mental trauma for the child who pretended to be Jacqueline, and the children that were present when they saw all of that there. Yes, she did. Kind of lets you know that it's probably not the first time that she's done it. Think about that investigation period was during COVID. Okay. Like I said, there was a time period where visitations and face-to-faces and CPS were very lax because of COVID. I saw it. And it got kind of scary because you don't know what could have happened, what didn't happen, and stuff like that. And sometimes social workers, caseworkers, teachers, that might be the only lifeline that they might have. A school meal might be the only meal that they have in one day, right? School lunches are important. Like these are things to kind of consider. That's why I'm like, I'm for visibility of a child when they attend school. I think it's important. I struggled homeschooling the kindergarten. I'm like, I don't think I'm doing this right. I did it all wrong when the COVID stuff was happening. I couldn't do it. And my kid needed more support. So I'm glad that we're back to the regular somewhat. Oh my God, Minds Y'all. Thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Thank you, Minds Y'all. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, we got to move on to this last segment. Hopefully, I have enough time because I already hear Baby Bunny coming upstairs like, Mama, you already know. I'm doing my best to kind of, she comes in and out, but she's watching a movie and she's so into the movie that she's watching, okay? Whatever movie she's watching with the sitter and eating snacks. All right, we have to talk about this case right here, man, because there's more information. Another situation where nobody sees the kiddo for a long time, goes missing. It's been missing for a year. Lompoc, I think that's how you say the school district name. Lompoc School District narrows timeline in case of missing 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard. Now, they did some the sleuths of the internet. Shout out to the sleuths of the internet. They pulled some information. People were knocking at doors, and they were asking questions. They believe mom might be struggling with some mental health issues of her own.
Do you have the time to speak with me?
Ashley did not give any information on where Melodee might be, but she did say that she is overwhelmed and stressed, and she did not appreciate her sister coming over when she did not wish to speak to her.
Oh.
Wait, this is my number right here. If you ever want to talk to me, I want a relationship with Melodee, please. Please, Ashley. Is she?
Wow. Abraham, I posted it last night, but it expired. I'm going to post it again. I promise. The Discord link. I'm going to post it again for you. It expired, and it's only for 6 hours because we have to kind of watch who comes and goes.
Okay? Are you okay? Ashley, I'm going to get going now. In that side of the family either. And I would love to have a relationship with Melodee and you. We can get together and hang out with the kids.
So Ashley Buzzard is Melanie's mom. Melodee Buzzard is the young little girl who I think she's a lot older than 9. She was last seen. She hasn't been seen for about a year, okay? And police are now searching for her. Now, police in California are searching for the missing 9-year-old who they say hasn't been seen in at least a year. Officials began looking for Melodee Buzzard on October the 14th after a school administrator alerted authorities about her prolonged absence. The Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office said in a statement, the police said that they have been unable to confirm any sightings of Buzzard, adding that the last verified contact with her was approximately 1 year ago. When authorities contacted Buzzard's mother, Ashley Buzzard, at her home, her daughter was not there, and no clear explanation was provided for her whereabouts. Police said that let's see. Police said that they have contacted the school district for more information, and they're investigating clearly. But Melodee Buzzard's aunt Elizabeth Mesa told USA Today that the girl's father died several years ago in a motorcycle accident. Mesa, whose late husband was Buzzard's paternal uncle, said that she hadn't seen her in 4.5 years. Buzzard's mother cut off contact with the rest of the family after the girl's father died, according to Mesa. Child Welfare Services have contacted Mesa and her family about the investigation, and they have shared a few updates because of the active investigation. Buzzard was previously homeschooled, and then enrolled in public school, but she hasn't attended this year. Mesa said that her nieces has the biggest smile and loves to be around her family. The last time Mesa saw her, Buzzard lift up when she heard her grandmother's voice. So these are people, relatives that are going into Ashley's house to ask about Melodee.
Please take my number at the door so we can talk. I'm here for you and Melodee.
It's crazy. Hold up.
Do you have the time to speak with me?
Ashley did not give.
Like, they're going to her property just to, like, and this is family, okay? This is family. There's been a visible change in Ashley's appearance, okay? Let me show you guys what I'm talking about.
Right, you guys. So we have a few more details coming out in the case of 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard. So at first, it was believed that Melodee hadn't been seen in almost a year. But the school system has now put out a statement narrowing down the timeline of when Melodee was last seen. So in August of this year, which would have been a few months ago, both Melodee and her mother Ashley went to the Mission Valley Independent School to register Melodee for classes. And y'all, the school system is saying that they are for sure that this was Melodee. So I did a little digging on this school, and this school is basically like a homeschool.
Yeah.
But with this school, you do have to log in, you have to still talk to teachers, and if you need help, you can still go to the facility. Now, from what I am gathering, when they realized that Melodee was not doing her assignments, and they hadn't heard anything from Melodee or her mother, school says that they send out emails, they do phone calls, they do all of this before they contact police. And y'all, this kind of explains why the police were contacted in October. Now, in this,
because they waited. I mean, if you're not hearing back or anything like that. Now listen, I did have a couple of school people, shout out to the school teachers, aides, shout out to the wonderful educational people out there. Thank you for everything that you do, right? But I had some people tell me, well, you can't blame the school district for this. And I'm sorry, I do, because they're still being home. Like, there's more effort that needs to be done in situations like this. Just like you can blame CPS when they drop the ball. There's a lot of red flags. I think it's important to call them out. It's okay. There's a lot of people that are going to get away with things. There's a lot of people that are, going to do things that are going to be under, red flags and under the radar. I think it's important to call that out. So yeah, I do feel like the school district, especially when a child's being homeschooled, there needs to be more that's done, once a week school visit, twice a month school visit, come over to the school. Let's do some testing. Let's see how you're doing. Let's check on you. How are things going? That type of situation, right? Because I'm not against the homeschooling. I'm just against the complete disengagement of a child and then expecting that people are going to get it together. It just, that's how I see it, but that's just my opinion. Vibe, thank you so much for becoming a member. I would read your full name, my love, but shout out to you. Thank you for becoming a member. Shout out to you. The system is overworked. Absolutely. A lot of areas are overworked and underfunded.
This day and age, if your child is late to school, if your child misses a day of school, they automatically send you emails, calls, texts. But we have to remember she was in a homeschool study program. And this is why the school didn't actually realize she was missing until around now. Now, y'all, news stations have been outside of Ashley's house, and they actually caught her on camera. So they were doing this whole segment outside of Ashley's house, and Ashley actually pulled up. She goes inside of the house. And y'all, although you can tell this is Ashley, she looks drastically different from the picture.
Yo, she looks different. I don't know when the other picture was taken, but I mean, look at this picture. She looks different. I do wonder if she's okay. I wonder if there's any, mental health history there. I mean, there has been visible changes. She looks different. Big change.
So police are saying that Ashley, she's not cooperating with them. And y'all, police still say that this is a missing persons case. It's not an actual criminal case yet, which I find strange. This is a 9-year-old. It's not like it's an adult that just left on her own free will.
Her mom didn't call her missing, though. Just so I think it was the school, and then the officers got involved.
You have both sides of the family saying, hey, we haven't seen her. The school is now saying, hey, we haven't seen her. And she's not even logging in for her homeschool classes.
Yeah.
So y'all, I find it strange that police have not gotten a search warrant to go inside of their home. Now, as of right now, that is all the information that I have. Melodee has still not been located. If you have any information on the disappearance of Melodee, if you know any information on Ashley, please contact police.
Absolutely.
Now, y'all, I'm hoping that they bring Melodee home safe, but police really need to work on getting some search warrants so they can search this home.
Yeah.
Comment below and let me know your thoughts.
It does make you wonder what happened to child. Shout out to this TikToker. Make sure you guys follow. Her name is, let me follow, The Real Big Draco. Yeah. Yeah, what's the age difference? I don't know. That's a great question. How long ago was that photo versus the other one? I don't know. I was trying to figure that out too, but I'm like, yeah, the lady does look like there's been some changes in her. And a lot of that could have cost her. They have not searched. They haven't. No, I'm sure that that's probably the next route at this point. But mom didn't call her missing. Is mom struggling with some mental illness? Maybe potentially. We've seen that. There was another case, I think, out of New York. I want to say where was it mom kept the child in the wall of the apartment, and talking about she never had a child. She's denying having a child. Like, it's a really bizarre case that just happened too out of New York, I think, where they, like, I was like, what the hell? Like, it's just crazy work. But I mean, this happens all the time. It's her after she let her go and likely has mental health issues. Yeah, likely. I do hope that they get a search warrant, to be quite honest. All right, guys, I do have to let you guys go. I'll probably be live later. We definitely gonna be live later. We got to find out some other stuff on some other cases and cover. But shout out to everybody in the chat, guys. Thank you so much for supporting today. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. You guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments. I mean, we definitely covered a lot today in this short time. Well, about an hour and 10 minutes in this time, but I do got to get some other stuff going on. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Let me know your thoughts and opinions, and I will see you guys on the next one. You guys have a great one. Bye, guys.